Okay, yeah.
Here we go. Counting down in five, four, three, two, one. Corin Silva, welcome to the Cam Talk Show.
Hello, mate.
Yay!
Hey.
You are on my channel for the third time now. For the third time. Can you imagine that? Are you grateful?
I wouldn't know. I tend not to watch the things I have done.
Wow, there you go. So he's actually not watching any of my content. Absolutely fine. Listen, Corin, this is a pleasure because I should be the one thanking you really to come on this show because ever since I've known you, we've been best friends. We've gone through many different sort of evolutions in our life together. But I'd say since the last time we spoke back in my warehouse in 2020, your life has transformed quite some bit. Why don't you just give us a very quick overview about sort of what's been going on in your professional life over the past 3 or 4 years?
Uh, in my professional, well, since 2020, that was some year. Um, I guess, and then I think after that, then in 2020 or 2021, then I got uh, a good role on a great show, a great role on a great show. Um, Rogue Heroes for the BBC, and kudos. And that was great. As I played Jim Almonds, and I had a most amazing summer a girl could ask for. Um,
But
we
that was
went,
just the start. That was just the first of what I mean, I'd say many roles. Am I even allowed to list them all? I mean, can I list them all? You've got All
you,
the Light You Cannot See on Netflix. You got Master of the Sky, Master of the Sky, Master of the Air.
Masters of the Air.
Sorry,
God,
it's Master of the Air. I'm dyslexic, but that's on Apple Television. And we've got SAS Rogue Heroes season 2 coming out.
season
And are
two.
you allowed to say about where you watch
Stags. Yeah,
Stags?
yeah.
Paramount show, Stags. Dude,
hmm
tell us. I mean, so this all came from the SAS Rogue Heroes, but then you've just been on a string of back-to-back TV shows. Do you ever stop?
Um, time to time, quick nap. Uh, but no, it's yeah, it's been fun. It's been a good couple of years, but then it's weird because you just always like when you're an actor, for every actor, it's just you do a job and that's fantastic, and when you're on it, it's like you think you'll never be out of work again, and then the second it ends, you're like, I'm just I'm unemployed yet again, which is fine. You just have to you just roll with that, and you try and fill it with other fun things like family and walks. Yeah, it's been nice, and I just came back from Tenerife for a few months, which was amazing. It never goes cold. It's the most gorgeous island ever, except for your lovely island, Cameron. Do love Alderley, but
Well, we will get to that later. But so tell
yeah.
me, so 4 months in Tenerife, what were you doing out there?
It's as I said, this is the bit I don't know what I can say, but it's a
Okay,
it's a
NDA
comedy.
time now.
It's a comedy drama. Right, it's a kind of comedy thriller actiony. There's always drama. Um, about a load of lads who go on a stag do, me included, part of the do, and we get into some serious trouble in South America. Some
Wow.
serious trouble,
This is
and
Paramount TV shows. I was about to say SS Rogue Heroes and Stags. So this
stags.
this is
Paramount
actually the
Plus.
first role you've had that isn't a period war film, right? Or like a period war thing.
it's
You've
been
played
it's been a while.
Nazis. You've played SAS. SAS. You played senior officers in what the US Air Corps. Is that it?
USAAF,
Wow.
yeah, the
Wow. And this is
100th Bomber Group.
your first role that is not from that period. This is a modern role.
Yeah. Set in the modern day. I know I've done the trifecta of World War II now, and I think I say this. I say I think I'm done with World War II, but like someone else gives me, someone says, play this guy and you go into this country and it's going to be a load of fun. I'll absolutely still say yes. It's just that it's becoming like a trend where I just play soldiers in different parts of the war.
It's because you look good in a uniform, man. Come on. I mean, like, I've never seen anyone pull off, these Nazi uniforms and
Oh,
these US American, like all the uniforms, they look so just they kind of look scary in a way. I mean, when you're getting into costume, I mean, are you in a way scared of yourself sometimes, particularly when you're playing a Nazi?
that was very weird. Trying on all, yeah, there was a lot of just nervous laughing and like geez, like cringing because like obviously we did the costume fit in Budapest and we had to I tried on everything. Um and yeah, everything's adorned with swastikas and it was weird. You just of course I mean that's just the character, but it was odd to adorn them. Yeah, to wear swastikas for work every day.
Do you find that it's is it a particularly, I mean, is it a daunting role to have to play something historical? Obviously, when you're playing with, made up fantasy stuff, it's one thing and the other, but when you're actually acting in, something that is real life, you're playing a member of, well, you were when it first appeared in All the Light We Cannot See, we saw you as a young boy in the Hitler Youth, and then to see you
Yeah.
sort of grow up and become a soldier. I mean, did you have a lot of responsibility on your shoulders, sort of like trying to be a character like that, or do you still try and find the light in the darkness?
Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, for certain things, I mean, for all the light we cannot see, it's obviously it's based in World War II, which was real, but the characters that we're playing were fictional, so it's a bit different to say Rogue Heroes or Masters of the Air because they were real. You know what I mean? I was Lieutenant Colonel John Bennett, who was a bloody hero, and Jim Almonds, Sergeant Major Jim Almonds, who was also a bloody hero. So they're real people with families and who I've been in contact with actually a few times, and recently John Bennett's well, no, the 100th Bomber Group uh, official Instagram page that has collated all this information and connected all the different families, and they were obviously like over the moon about Masters of the Air because it's just about that group. They contacted me as well and said, we've had well wishes from the Bennetts, I suppose. I don't know if they're still all Bennetts, but yeah, I was playing their great granddad maybe or great granddad or yeah.
Wow.
So yeah, I mean when you're playing someone real, there's definitely like a responsibility to do everything you can and also just be because you have artistic license to be as an actor to have fun and to be a character and to help create it. But when it's someone real, you've got to take everything that you can get that you know of and incorporate that as best you can too, because then you got to do them justice because they were real.
But obviously, in All the Light You Cannot See, I mean, you were playing, a Nazi. So, I mean, do you have a process of, did you try and find someone to emulate from an accent or from, because you're now blonde hair, blue eyed Corin Silva, looking at yourself in the mirror. Who are you imagining yourself as?
Well, that's the thing. I think with especially with the Hitler Youth, uh, that he was, and yeah, I mean they show it in the show that they were manipulated a lot. You know what I mean? These are supposed to be these are like 15s. Like, well, they got him in at 10. It's just anyone who would prove to be special in some way, they take them to these camps. And it would be like it would be very hard work. And like he shows that in the show. Um, and the director Sean Levy did an amazing job of showing, just what it was like. Like the bits I was in anyway. I mean, I can only speak for, I was only on set for those bits, obviously, but like it was showing this youth camp where they'd be doing physical activity and they'd be made to run and jump and like go through obstacle courses and do tests of the mental capacity. But to them, it's like they're just kids and they're getting taken from their families across Germany and they would just be chucked into this youth camp. And I guess then it's just they don't understand the levity of it. You know what I mean? They don't understand what it meant. They don't understand what World War II is, and they don't understand the horrors that were going to come from that regime. So they were just going along with it. I'm sure some of them felt like it was bloody like scouts or something. Do you know what I mean? Just hanging around with loads of lads your age, doing activities. But obviously, in retrospect, you understand that it was horrific, and they were training them to be something bad.
I mean, it's interesting because in terms of hanging out with a group of lads, you went from doing SAS Rogue Heroes, which is all about the boys, to All That You Cannot See, which was all about the boys.
Masters of the my bit was about the boys.
Yeah, the boys. But Masters of the Air, is in a bit more serious role, and now you're on Stags, which is back to the boys. So are you typecast as like one of the lads? Is that what it
I don't know. I'm all right with that, to be honest. Because the lads through time. I could be a lad through the ages, but that's fine with me. I enjoy hanging around with the boys, and then all these lads that I've worked with, like, and of course girls do, like, but we've just always cracked on so well. I mean, everyone I've met on these jobs that we've talked about has just been brilliant. So it's been great crack. Great crack.
And so what now? Obviously, you're kind of in that position now where you have a little bit of should we say a bit of fame behind you. I mean, how do you plot your next steps as a career as an actor?
I wouldn't say I have a bit of fame behind me, but it's been fun. Next steps, I don't know. You just crack on. I've got some auditions I'm waiting to hear back from, as ever, and then you never know when you just get a ping of an email from your agent, and something just new happens and gets you excited, and then give that your best and see what happens there. But other than that, I'm just doing. I'm doing some fun activities to fill my time. I'm doing a bit of horse riding, and I've just passed my motorbike theory test, just in case anyone wants me to jump over like a chasm.
Well, 1 second. Are you just talking to the casting directors now? Because there's always like when you ask.
Yeah, I can do. I'm gonna put it on the spotlight any minute. But no, but this is it. I can convince myself that all of these things are really beneficial for my acting career. Like, but I don't know. Hopefully they will be. But
they are. I mean,
they're just fun things that I then now know. So,
Corin, listen, we have known each other for a very long time. We've worked on lots of just sort of little projects together. I guess my last encounter with you as an actor was a particularly different one because obviously we have just finished production of Sunrise. We had you in a studio playing a con man who saves the life of a suicidal victim. This project has been in the making for 4 years now. We started this project.
Don't I know it?
Time ago. Don't you know? Well, you know it because you came and built the set. I think that's probably the only job you've ever been asked. Can you come and build the set? In a studio in the Lake District, and we had a few good nights there, right? When we were constructing that set, we had some real fun doing it.
We had some great nights, right? Yeah, sleeping on an air mattress, sharing one sleeping bag,
getting cozy,
getting very cozy. A sleeping bag spread out, obviously still zipped at the bottom, so you can't really get comfy. But no, we had some great nights, man, and I think we did a good job. I think we did a good job.
What does it do for you as an actor having a purpose-built set around you? Does it make things different?
Um, yeah, I mean, having a set compared to well, it's 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 weird because yes, you can have a set on location, or you can just go into a location and that's already kind of perfect for what you need. But yeah, having the set, especially for our shoot for Sunrise, it just gives you just full control and knowing that you. I mean, I wasn't just thinking I built this at all times, but no, kind of knowing the ins and outs of it because we built it just gives you this sense of like I don't know, like a groundedness almost, for want of a lesser actory term. But you don't feel at sea. You feel like I know this. I know this space because we built it from an empty room. So
Do
yeah,
you know what?
it's
That
good.
was always my intention, man. I'm such a genius director. I thought the best way to get the actor to really embody that character was
Yeah,
actually just to make them build their own room. And the fact that it cost me nothing
that is so clever.
that's
Yeah.
so clever. It's so clever. Yeah. No, but you are right. And when you obviously came and you helped sort of build the entire set, which was the first job, and then you helped decorate it and brought props and I remember going through lots of different headphones because obviously this scam artist has to have some headphones, and so we've still got maybe like a dozen headphones in a box somewhere that were just not the right ones. But I
Uh,
think we both put a lot of effort into this making this film. And so, I particularly remember the filming of Sunrise because, it's been such a long time. There's been so many things have happened with the production, and unfortunately, the story became real for me and you when we've lost friends, throughout that 4 year period of making a film about mental health. We have lost friends to
mm,
suicide, and depression has become more apparent in our lives, and so the build up to making this film has been extraordinary. And then so the 5 days where we had you and we had two camera units in that studio for 5 days working you as an actor. I remember getting very just concerned that, oh my God, Corin is literally, having to do this like, 12 times in 10 different setups. And every time it felt like I wanted to be concerned for you, but you're my best friend. So I was like, he'll be fine. He'll be fine. Because we've got, two camera units doing, trying to get the coverage. But I never stopped to ask, how was it for you? Because you always seemed like you were on top and you were sort of handling it all.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I hope I was. Uh, and that's the thing is like, as an actor, you have to be able to separate what you have to be able to separate like what you're doing, what you're performing from how you actually feel. And I've struggled. I mean, you get better at that. I'm not saying I'm even there yet because you read you do some scenes and it does still affect you and you kind of like take it home with you, so to speak. But I think I've definitely got better over the years. I used to struggle with that a lot, but to have the separation and also to not people have different methods of how they get to a certain place emotionally, but I used to sit in it and really just like if this is how I'm supposed to be feeling as this character, then I'm going to try and feel it all day, or of what some people would loosely call the method. You know what I mean? Or like to live it, to live that character, to be as that person. And in this case, someone who's depressed, isolated, doesn't talk to anybody. I didn't go as far as scamming people. Well, we did. We did do some practice scams, didn't we, on friends and family? But but like that way for me now, I don't think is. I don't think it's the most effective for me. I think I can I can really get too deep into something, and I've done some roles before, and I've had this melancholy on me for a while, um, that I can't really shake, and it's because I've just taken the emotions that are fictional. Well, this is the thing: the plot and the script are fictional, but emotions aren't. Your body doesn't know that. Your body doesn't know that it's not going through trauma. It just thinks it's going through trauma, and you've made it do that because of a script. And so, for me, and on Sunrise, I tried to implement it more, just to do a scene and then just kind of walk away from it as best I could. Well, enjoy your company, talk to you, talk to the guys, and because obviously it's mostly, well, it's not me and that's just me in that scene, but in the room it is. um and and yeah, so just to be like, caught, get up from the chair and just do some stretching and have a chat and smoke a cig maybe, and just chill, just chill and try and let it go, and trust as well, because this is what I was worried of back in the day, is that I wouldn't be able to bring it back. Like when the director, when you asked for the goods, I would be like, I need to stay in this, because if I don't, I might not be able to be back in it when I need to be. And then, with the work I've done with some acting teachers and whatnot, staff at both feet mostly, it was great. I've tried to realize that I can, everyone is a wealth of emotion, and you can feel a whole, smorgasbord, for want of a better term. There's no better term. Smorgasbord of emotions in a day, in an hour. You can go from top to bottom. So just knowing and trusting myself that I could bring that back when I need to.
Well, I'm particularly grateful because not only am I a very inexperienced director, who's very rarely ever worked for a professional crew, but on that studio shoot, we had two professional crews in essence. We had two cameras rolling, two of the highest quality cinema cameras, led by the wonderful Ben Halford and his team of technicians and people. And to be honest with you, mate, I mean, I feel what you feel now, because at some point I had to just let other people step in and do the work. And I found myself thinking, all right, I need to go outside now and let these people get on with it, because I don't know how to move a camera around. I don't know how to light things, and actually it was amazing, because then you came back in and, we had a little discussion about this, this next scene, or, and more importantly, it was like all of the elements all came together. You could look in the background and see props that we had put there, years ago. And we could see pieces of wallpaper that we had torn off, and we could see the curtains that we had dyed, and we saw everything that we had done mixed with this layer of Ben's lighting, and then the amazing sort of just I guess just all the crew pulled it together. And it all came together for me personally because these are very long takes, and we actually had Stella, the actress that plays Jemima, sat in the car outside. So for me, it was very important that we didn't just get you talking to a script or talking to one of us, offset. So having Stella there in the car outside gave us a live interaction with you and this character that made it all so real. And I'm just sitting there in front of these two monitors with the most amazing shots looking at you, my best friend Corin, that I very rarely ever don't see as my best friend. Even when I see him dressed as a Nazi on TV, I'm like, oh yeah, that's my best friend Corin. But when I saw you acting, in Sunrise, and I saw, because the takes are like 15-minute takes each. So when you're like 2-3 minutes into it, you switch off and it almost becomes like a podcast. And then you realize that what you're looking at is a real performance, from someone that has known this script inside out for many years. And it just it got so much better as well, as we kind of went through it. And I remember the very last take of the last shots where this is kind of like the climax of Sunrise, and I was just crying my eyes out. I was just bawling my eyes out. I don't even think I said cut. I think it was just I just walked out, and I had to sit behind some bus outside, crying, because I felt everything you were doing in that performance was just so right and real. And to have read the script for so many years, and then to have rehearsed it for so many years with you, build the set, to go through everything that's happened in this film, and then to watch it, I just knew that this was the best we could possibly give. We had not compromised on the quality. Yes, we had to compromise on time, but the quality was in the can. And for some reason, we managed to get the cameras rolling, the crew were there, you were having your best performances ever, and I could feel it, man. So thank you, brother.
Hey, thank you, man. We needed you there. I mean, we obviously when there's time and there's time constraints. I know people get on each other's on like step on each other's toes and whatnot, and and yeah, man. Without you, it would not have been possible to get what we got, and it was some beautiful stuff. You smashed it. You really did. I mean, we
Well,
all
the
did.
audience
We
are
all
gonna.
did. But
We all
I hope
did.
we all did. I think we made a great film, and as well as bloody Rick Rubin would say, we made it for us.
Yes,
So
we did. Well, actually, no, like what's lovely about Sunrise is that it's not just a film. My experience in marketing and, having worked on sort of Netflix shows and seen the lack of care for marketing that production companies normally have, through the fact they don't need to do any marketing. With us, and Sunrise and it being a short film, I know that I don't want to put everyone through all this pain of making art if the people out there can't watch that artwork. And so, like even though the project is almost over, for people like yourself and Ben and the guys on production, for me and for Tom, who are trying to get this out for as many people as possible. We have huge events coming up, 5 major fundraising events for mental health charities, private screeners in very prestigious venues, which I can't even tell you about yet.
uh,
But and then obviously the traditional festivals, and we do want to put extra effort into this because I do think this
yeah,
movie is worth people seeing, and it's worth having conversations, particularly around mental health,
for
which we all
sure,
know
man.
is hard to. Yeah, you
The,
can't help someone once they're gone from this world, and we've both lost friends to suicide, and I think that's why the film of Sunrise has to be
mm,
a vessel for us to have that conversation with.
yeah, yeah, 100%. And that's the beauty of it with this film. It's like I think what you say about making it, well, what I say about making it for us. You do that with the work. You create art because you need to create art. You know what I mean? You can give talks at mental health events and you do great. I'm not good at public speaking. I probably do not great, but you can do that. But creating art, you create it because that's how the way that you need to express. But a film like this also has a message that we want people to we all, I mean, all of us want people to hear, and it's something that has affected us and affected everyone on the crew. It affects everyone at some point. I'm sure everyone loses someone they love to something, to depression and maybe suicide. Someone will, and it's just heartbreaking. And to have a film like this, yeah, this is where you come in because you're whiz with the marketing and get people to see what we created, and that's going to be great because I have no idea what to do there. All I can do is try and do a character as best as I can. But yeah, getting it out to everybody is that's your job. And
I
I know you're
appreciate
gonna
it, mate.
smash it.
To be
I'll
honest
be
with
at
you,
these events too. You have to invite me
yeah,
to these
I
events,
mean,
you know.
listen,
You
you did
have to tell me eventually.
you did your job perfectly, my friend. I was very lucky that you got to go on and work on these big TV shows before coming onto my set because, I think that you just become a much better actor every time you do a job. And I managed to catch you at a time that you're still available, still cheap. and and I think and then just still my friend, and I think that's the main thing is
Hey, I'll always be a friend.
being friends with you is very
Hopefully, I
interesting.
won't always be cheap, but I'll always be a friend.
Well, I think to be honest with you, you've donated so much of your time to this project, and so has so many people on the project as well. And it's a real testament to, I think the theme of the film, and yeah, I guess so. Something you said earlier about, you were saying that sort of after every job, you're almost unemployed again, and so you're almost resetting after every single job. How does that reset after doing a big job sort of affect your mental health? And how do you, I mean, what's your experience in sort of that quietness that you find after being so busy for such a long time?
Yeah, that's something I've struggled with too. At one point, this is the first time I ever. Well, actually, I told myself that I was going to just let it go for December because December is a quiet time, and I and always in December, I think a lot of actors, a lot of creatives in the industry are just like, why is nothing happening at all? And you think that maybe it won't ever happen in January, February, or the next whatever. I mean, January is quiet too, but I luckily had a job right up until Christmas this year. But I'd finally convinced myself to not to just take December off and stop beating myself up because it drives you around the bend. It really does. Like you just when you when you're just in limbo about it. I mean, it happens with all creatives, but I think there's some creative jobs in the industry where the work is more regular. You know what I mean? Than acting, because with that, because there's post which we're not really a part of. I mean, obviously sometimes, but there's loads of different bits and where if you work in crew or whatever, you can not be guaranteed work, but there's a bigger potential to work constantly. Whereas with acting, it's kind of like you do one, and if you're really lucky, you've got another one lined up. But often it's just this one, and then you're like, oh, it's coming up, and you don't. In fact, you don't even think it's coming up. It just happens, and it's like that's a wrap. Big party. Now I'm unemployed. So it's just a weird one. It just drops you off like at the deep end again. And yeah, I've struggled in this time in the what people call like rest or downtime, which is the best way to look at it, but it's not the way that I always look at it, unfortunately. Um,
Do you find
because you
that
just don't.
other actors have the similar pains to you?
Yeah, yeah. Everyone's because it's not just nothing's guaranteed. It's like part of your body's like, you might never work again. You might never work again, actually, because you don't have a job now, and you were lucky and talented enough to get the last one, but doesn't mean you are again ever, pal. So yeah, there's just this like in your brain, but then you just got to fill it. I mean, I'm trying to fill it now with other things, like I'm writing my own film and I'm doing other creative activities, but just trying to fill that time without descending into madness and oblivion is has been a problem in the past. But I think you just get better as you get older too.
Mm.
And if you get busier, if you're busy, then well, I guess there's new problems. But then that one is going to be satiated. But yeah, for sure, it can be a real struggle to just clear it in your head that it's going to be all right, and there's other things you can do, and
Mm.
yeah, it's just doing them.
Yeah, I mean, look, like this life that we live isn't about perfection. Even though we live in this world where every story we're being told at the moment on social media is about how I won this or how I overcame this problem. Sometimes the problems is the majority of your life. And I find that the more you fail, obviously you're trying more than most people, but you're going to succeed more as well. And actually, you could choose the most risk-averse life if you want. You could have a life where you have a nice stable job. You could afford to buy a house. You could afford to get married, have kids, settle down, and you're still going to have problems. And it's just like, I think living this creative life where you are resetting after every project, it is daunting. And actually, if you took someone who was from a stable job and you told them to live a day in your shoes, they would freak out. They'd freak out, man. They'd be like, no, this isn't the life I want to live. And and so they wouldn't get it, you know. So actually, when you do meet other creatives who have the same problem as you just go, "Ah, hi, man."
Yeah, yeah, no, definitely. It's yeah, I can't. That's the thing. You get worried and you get this anxiety about working and not working, but there's no other way I would like it to be. You know what I mean? Except maybe a few more jobs lined up. That's it. But if you said, do you want to change your life? Do you want to change your career? Do you want to, run in different circles and have security and then get a mortgage and all that? It's like, nah. I want to risk this.
Mm.
Yeah. I want to just roll with this and see what happens.
So listen, there is you know, obviously a level of fame, you know, that you get through working you know, on big TV shows and stuff. You know, I remember, you know, a few years ago now when SAS Rogue Heroes first came out, you had your sort of first you know, opportunities to go to press events and, you know, making exclusive content and having articles like written about you in you know, your local paper. I mean, there was this one
Shout out to the
photograph
Warrington
of
Guardian.
you as a kid playing Macbeth. Was that your first acting experience when you were younger? Is that how acting began for you, playing Macbeth in a school play, was it?
I mean, besides being one of the kings in the Nativity, of course, I wanted to be Jesus Christ, but they used a plastic baby. So I don't know why, but yeah, I think Macbeth was year four or year five, so that was good. Me and my dad made the costume, and we did a belting job. Actually, we had the sheepskin rug, which we pushed a hole in and put a chain through it. We had like B&Q, got a golden chain, put it through a sheepskin rug, and then we got some tartan and pleated it. A leather belt. What else did I have? Oh, I forget. But yeah, we used to have fun. We also did a Henry VIII one and Odysseus for World Book Day. That was the best one. We went and got me and my dad got. We went to a metal fabricators and got a piece of copper, like a sheet of copper, and we took it home and beat it into a chest plate and abs. And this is when I was very fat as well, so the abs were a godsend. And we beat the chest plate. Um, Actually, I have to think. I said I was Odysseus, but I actually ended up being a Spartan. But and then we got a big strip of leather, a big sheet of leather, cut that into about 20 or 30 like strands of leather with a point at the end, and then glued them all to a leather belt. So it was just a full leather skirt with 20, 30 pieces. I had the chest plate made out of copper, a red cloak, just I don't know, from a fabric shop, and then we got a huge piece of black plastic, put a bit of rope on the side so it was a shield, and painted like an upside down, like an A with the middle bit gone, which was the Spartan symbol on their shields, in red on this big black thing, and I had a sword, plastic sword. Oh, I had a hard hat which we sprayed bronze, and got a fucking got a broom, like a red push broom, chopped that off and put the red push broom on top of it, so I had the bristled helmet with a nose piece. So I had that, the sword, the shield, the skirt, the copper breastplate, and I had sandals, leather sandals, and we put leather straps going up my leg up to my knee.
Wow.
Yeah,
So
and there was a costume competition, and I lost to a girl that came in a bloody tutu because she did ballet, and
oh,
she wasn't even
awful.
from a book.
Didn't
She
even
wasn't even from a
try.
book.
Didn't even try.
She
But
just wore what she
it's
wore
safe to
on
say
Thursday
then.
nights.
So your sort of obsession with acting sort of did start in school and at a very young age. But it sounds like great memories with you and your dad as well. It sounds like he's very,
Yeah,
very supportive of what you do.
yeah, he is. Yeah, he's great. Yeah, he is top. Love him. And he always, yeah, helped me make costumes. Helping me make costumes was one of the best. One of my great memories. But yeah, we always had fun.
So when you think about it now, because obviously you got a niece and a nephew, is it?
Just two nephews.
Two nephews. They're growing up in a much different time these days, and I know that the arts has been declining. Since schools have had a lot of pressure. Why is the arts important for kids at schools? Like, why should they get involved in this?
Oh, bloody hell. I mean, that's just like, why be alive? It's just like whether or not they call it the arts or are allowed to express themselves fully in classrooms, then to be artistic is to actually just have like the spice of life. Do you know what I mean? It's like them even creating something out of Lego is being artistic. It's everything, and like kids' drawings. That's synonymous with growing up. Just drawings from your kids because you give them crayons and paper, and then they want to say that that's not important as you become a teenager. It's ridiculous to even think that. And if they really defunded it, I don't know, Jesus, it would be horrific. Then there'd just be kids acting up, and they'd give them probably Ritalin, and it's like, no, why don't you just let him, why don't you read a script with him or make a little, they'll all have bloody iPhones when they're 10 these days anyway. So it's like they can get them in a little filmmaking class or something. You could do so much. And like you see it when even was out when we were in school, like there'd be kids that did drama because it was easy or whatever, or did the artistic lessons because they wanted an easy ride for an hour a day. But so many people that would go in there thinking it was like it's whatever would have such fun and express things that they can't express at home or in the playground or whatever. Like running around's great. Everyone was running around and throwing a ball, and kicking a ball, all things with balls, just booting them, throwing them, hitting them. Great fun. I don't doubt it. I don't deny it. But like having to use your imagination in something like a drama class or dance or art, it's just something else. It fires different parts of your brain, and it's absolutely completely essential.
Mm.
And to think it isn't is folly.
It's folly. And it's a shame as well because I think it doesn't seem obvious at first. If you were to start getting rid of certain subjects, you'd imagine, oh, well, yeah, okay, get rid of the arts first but keep mathematics, when actually you think about like the way that the world is these days and the fact that robots are taking over, you're like, well, actually the only thing left is the creative arts and is that ability to communicate, sell be able to sort of, yeah, I don't think you can be a good communicator without having experience in performing in front of large groups of people and having things that have gone wrong. I mean, I've done lots of theatre shows when I was a kid, and it's like
Gala nights.
gala nights and Old New Week. Yeah, my experience is that you run on the stage, you fluff up your words a little bit, but then you come off and everyone congratulates you and you feel like a hero. And whether or not you were or weren't actually brilliant at it meant that you just went on the next time and you did it again and again and again, and you realize that there is no fear anymore of messing up, or if there is fear of messing up, it's because you really love it and you really value what you're doing. And so, yeah, I'm with you there, man. Like I don't see why anyone would ever want to defund the arts or take it away from kids, but it just seems like the way things are going these days. Kids these days don't have as much confidence. Like I've worked with groups of young people, and I've been shocked by the fact that they can't articulate their own points, in a way that I guess I thought we were able to do that when we were younger. And they have a lot of junk values. A lot of the values that they talk about are things that they learned on social media. And so instead of, having their own ability to express what maybe only they can express, they just decide to default to what everyone else is talking about online. And it's amazing to see a group of kids act in that way because you just suddenly go, what are we going to do about it? How do we give the kids a voice back, particularly the ones that grew up in the COVID generation where they were like isolated and they were told, that this is the only way you communicate. And you just go,
Mm,
oh my God. And actually, in a way, this
that's
is why
weird.
these conversations matter. These online, unedited, uninterrupted conversations between two people matter because communication isn't perfect. you know, the way that we express stories, it's not. And I think people need to be around good storytellers, or even just people who are honest, in order to emulate what they do, and in a way act like them, you know. And they can't
Uh,
act like online influencers all the time, and yet they're trying to do that, which is a shame.
it's a shame, I know, but then is it? I worry this. Like, do we think it's a shame just because we don't understand? Just like, just like when we thought our parents were lame, are we now to them just lame? But I mean, now
Well, listen,
to
my
quote,
parents are still lame, but like, you know, they're
to,
now, I now respect their lameness, and I
but
appreciate.
they, no, but I think oh, sorry, I was just thinking of a Simpsons quote where Skinner goes, "Am I so out of touch? No, it's the children that are wrong." But it's like, but I think we had a connection. I think whether we knew it well, you see it now in retrospect, that our connection to our parents' generation was closer than we are to a 10-year-old now,
Mm.
like 20 years younger than us. A 10-year-old is, I think they're just, it's like a different beast because we we saw the internet come in. Well, no, we didn't see it come in, but we saw broadband come in where we were still at dial up with the screeching. And then I had like an N64 and a PlayStation 1. And then my first phone was like he's obviously just Snake and a blue and like a green and black screen. And now it's people are born with, not born with, hopefully, but you know, the brand new iPhone, the
Apple
iPhone
have figured
9.
out their latest marketing campaign. Hospitals.
Yeah, I want an iPhone in every baby's hand. Uh, but like you know, like they're going straight into it. Like you know, a baby will go home. A baby,
Here we
a
go. So
baby's
the
home
new
from work.
iOS.
But you know what I mean? It's like we saw it come in, and so we understood the world before it a lot easier. And our
Mm.
parents had to develop it when they were like 30, 30 to 40 or whatever.
Well,
They were seeing,
that's why when you see old people using phones, you know, they don't even know how to press it. You know, they when it says touch it, like there's a few types of touch. There's like a tap, there's like a hold down a little bit, and then there's like
yeah.
a button press. And they just tap they button press everything.
Yeah, that's actually a good point. You know what? My dad looks exactly that. He's terrible. I've given him. Sometimes I do a screen record of it, of me doing it on my phone, and then send it him on WhatsApp. And then if you watch him, you know, when you FaceTime him, and it's just the bottom of his head, and all I can see on his screen, on my screen, is just literally the bottom of his eyes and nose, like, and that's how he talks about that.
Oh, brilliant,
It's
isn't it?
hilarious.
I mean,
But
like,
they're going to be laughing at us, man. The kids are already laughing at us.
I know the kids these days are probably looking at us 30-year-olds, and thinking, "Oh God, they're really old." Thankfully, we're still, I think, the go-to people if you need tech support. You know, so yeah, we are the that tech generation. My
I
mum
mean,
actually, I call my mum what do I call her? Unintentionally advanced, because she sometimes finds features on the iPhone that I had no idea existed. And you know, she finds it through just like, I don't know, pressing buttons and holding things down. And you know, I'm like, Mum, that's so impressive. She's like, what did I do? And I'm like, I don't not even Steve
because
Jobs can help you now.
that's because as well they actually like you know they have a. I mean, we our bloody our what is it? Look at that! I've already forgot. And that was the point. Oh my god.
Short attention span. Well,
That's
that's
it.
it.
Our attention span. How bad is that? That is
We are
so
part of that new
horribly ironic.
TikTok generation, and I think that's the thing that these kids are going to have to grow up and deal with. You know, whether or not they know it, but you know, staying indoors, sitting behind screens, like that's not how you find opportunities in life. You know,
No,
being part of groups of people do.
but they are with groups of people. This is what someone was explaining to me about their 16-year-old son, and he was like, because he's obviously he's like 50 odd as an actor I was just worked with, and and he was like, isn't it weird? You find it like odd, like they just come home and want to just get online and play some games, play some bloody Fortnite or whatever. And it's like, yeah, but and so he used to just be like that. That's it. You've had enough screen time. Get outside. Get gone. Go do something. And um, it's like he tried that for a bit, and it doesn't work because the other kids aren't doing it. And so it's like he comes in and goes online, and that's now like for him. I'm not saying it's for everyone, but I'm saying it's way more than because obviously when we were playing consoles, they weren't connected. Like I remember like it coming in and it'd be like laggy as shit. You know what I mean? And you could, I'm talking to my mate. I'm talking to my mate, and we're both shooting this guy. But like now it's so advanced that everyone's friends. You expect them to come home from school and go on the same game together and you plug in, and the guy that you was just on the bus with, you're now talking to him again, and this is the new like school field, and we used to go home, get changed, have something to eat,
Go knock
go
on.
and yeah, go knock on, go hang out. But now they are hanging out, so it is. This is what I'm saying about maybe we're just old
Oh
because
no.
no, no,
True.
but fresh air is
I believe
fresh
you.
air. There's no two ways about it. Fresh air is fresh air,
Well, I also
and
think as well, like meeting girls
and
was,
grass.
I mean, listen, like when we were younger, like, you had to ask a girl out, like, and now there's like these dating apps and stuff like this. So I don't think it does anyone any good by not meeting up and having events and stuff like this. I guess this is why, like, like you've been to Alderney a few times now. Alderney Week is a huge event that happens every year on this tiny island, and you get thousands of people descend into one place for like 2 weeks, and you're with people, and you're interacting, and you're talking, and you're making mistakes, and you're making new friendships and stuff. And so like one of my ethos in life is about events, is about bringing people into the real world, taking them offline. And yes, I buy the fact that kids these days are going to have a lot more need to be online and be in the digital world, but I'm also one of those people that would way prefer to create organizations and things that get kids actually sort of being together. Like you were
Yeah,
saying, like sort of, making films together, doing theater shows, whatever we can do to get kids actually just face to face and having these awkward conversations or these moments of silence between two people that don't quite like
yeah.
each other. And then, it's like you have to be put into that spot. And I guess that's what's different. Anyway,
It has to be awkward. It's supposed to be awkward. It's
it's
supposed to be
supposed to be awkward.
supposed to be a school disco where there's loads of girls there and there's loads of boys there, and everyone's getting a hot dog and some bad cordial. That's and then like, and then I used to and then you might do a running skid on your knees. You might do that.
Was that your thing?
That that was your thing. That was everyone's thing.
I was a break dancer, so I did more than skidding.
Oh,
I
sure.
was
That's just
b-boy
skidding on your
sliding.
knees with a bit more steps.
I used to slide on my head into the middle of the dance circle, do a little head spin, little backflip. And yeah, I'd say I got the girls. I got the girls. I was very, very proud to be able to do that. But no, more importantly, I think there is a different generational sort of requirement for these things. And yeah, I hope that we can one day give back to younger people as we've experienced so much benefits from mentorship. We do have a mutual friend, a mutual mentor, you could say, a man who we won't even mention his name. He is basically the special forces of entertainment.
Omerta.
Yeah, you do not mention his
Omerta.
name, but he's helped me and you out a lot in our career and with Sunrise. And so, and he's in his what, 50s, 60s, maybe. I don't know. No one even knows.
80,
80,
100.
he's probably 100.
Don't even
But
know.
he's lived a life in the entertainment industry, both in front of camera and behind camera. And to me and you, I think he's acted as the most amazing soundboard and a wise wizard. How did sort of that, how's that feel for you, having someone who's so much use to you?
It's great, man. It's great. I mean, yeah, it's just been such you can't even imagine without him because obviously we've both known him for a few years, and he's just class, isn't it? I mean, and to have a mentor, I can't picture it without it. The amount of self tapes he's helped me with, or just get, yeah, and just even if he's not taped with me or auditioned with me, he's just give me like an email full of advice about how it would be play, how you could play it, and it's just brilliant. And then like looked after us. He's even given me a loan in the past because he's a sweetheart, and I've been a skin actor student, and he got me through paying rent for a month. Like he's just absolutely great bloke. And to have that, as I say, it's not even like it's invaluable. Well, it is invaluable, but it's not even to say that because I actually can't picture not knowing him over the years.
Mm.
And so yeah, and I've even mentioned him. You know, I've mentioned I have a mentor. Oh, my mentor has said this. My mentor is, you know, because it's the easiest way of describing him is to say mentor, because you know he's older than us and he has mentored us completely. So I just say my mentor, da, da, da. And people I've worked with, for example, like other actors on set, they'd be like, "What you got mentor? You got?" And then I've explained like the situation to him, and they're just like they sort of like, oh, I don't know, 4 or 5 people over the years just like couldn't believe it wanted one so bad. And these are people like, you know, my age, maybe even a bit older, maybe a bit younger, just so enraptured by the idea of having a mentor, and you know, jealous that they've even said it. Because and then I'm like, yeah, do you know what, it is such a bloody good thing to have someone who's in your industry, who's been through the things you're trying to do, not even exactly the same things, you know, but just seen it all. By being 60 and still being in the industry, you've seen so much, you know, seen so much compared to us, and it's just been brilliant. So yeah, I think it's essential. And as you say, if anyone hits me up one day and wants me to do that, wants me to, I mean, I try and give advice whenever anyone asks. Not that they ever do, but you know, I'd love to, just because of what I know it has done for me.
Mm.
I would always give any advice, any way I can sort someone out who's younger than me. Uh, yeah, it's just, it's
I think
so good.
it's really
So
important
good.
to just pay it forwards. You know, I think that's the sort of theme here. It's like if you've had good things happen to you through just spontaneous introductions, and you know they've developed into like decade-long relationships. I mean, that's the thing about having a mentor, is that when people find out, oh, you know, you've got this wise mentor who reads all your work, who looks at all your work, gives
Sage.
you feedback, your sage, the sage advice. People are like, oh, where can I buy a mentor? And you're like, you can't buy one. You
No,
don't
you
pay
can't.
your mentor, right? You've become a friend and someone who you want to you want to help him as much as he wants to help you. And I think that's maybe where the transactional expectation that people have these days can lead to nothing. Because if you're expecting to always pay for someone's advice or pay for their services, without understanding that you can give away your time and you can give away your advice and your services for free, which makes someone else want to do the same thing for you, which after a decade of doing that builds into what is an indestructible relationship, and I find that really, really important. And I mean, we are 10 years into knowing this particular mentor of ours, and I couldn't imagine life without him. I couldn't
No.
imagine doing any creative project without first pinging him a message and saying, I'm trying to do this. Do you have any advice about it? Can you read this script? Can you watch this cut of the film? And when you're a 60-year-old man watching what a bunch of 30-year-olds are doing, you're just like, oh, it's all wrong,
Yeah,
and
he's
you
been watching them since we were 20 as well, and they were really wrong
they
then.
were really wrong then. Yeah, exactly. But and it feels difficult. I'm watching a lot of the behind the scenes from the making of Sunrise, and there'd be moments sleeping in the studio where our mentor would have come in and yelled at me for some stupid mistake that I've made again and again and again. And I'll be
Yeah.
sitting and I'll be going like, I feel like shit. I feel so bad. And then I'm like, but actually, I'm so lucky to have somebody that actually gives a shit enough to keep
Yeah.
trying to make me better.
Yeah, yeah,
And so you've got to be grateful for that. And I think that's where having a mentor that cares about you and your well-being and your career trajectory, this is where the whole thing about mental health kind of gets interesting for me, because having someone to be brutally honest with you and and being there to tell you to get better and be better, and I expect more from you, feels painful. But that growth comes with a side of love and care and compassion. And what I would say is a lot of people want everything to be easy, or they want everything to come with compassion and honor, that, well, actually, sometimes you do have to be told what you're doing is wrong. You do have to feel like, yes, you've done wrong. But having that done to you by someone that actually has been with you for a decade, that's what makes it okay. I
Mm,
think that's where people maybe don't want to feel like they're giving people candid advice that's going to hurt them, and then they won't be with
mm,
them, to help them in the dark days.
yeah. And as well, it's like, it's not just that told you that you've done wrong, because, with this person, they might say to us, and anyone, someone that you trust, the opinion that you trust of someone, uh, they might say to you, this is this, and this is, are you sure? But it's not really you are wrong. It's questioning you. And so you got to, then if you can defend yourself, because I remember, there's many a time where they've been like, what are you doing that for? What are you doing that? And then if you come back and say, no, I'm doing it because of this, actually, I'm doing it because of this and this. And they'd be like, well, okay then. Well, why didn't you say that? Do you know what I mean? And then it's just having someone to push back, someone that you trust, who knows what they're talking about, pushing back on you for what might actually be a stupid mistake. That's something you didn't want to do, something that a mistake you've already made, and you've now made it a second time. And then so you are just being either, lazy or a bit too candid, and you let something slip. And then you have this person say that you did that last week, and you go, oh, bollocks, yeah, shit, okay, I'm gonna get better at this and fix this. Or they'll say, why have you done that? And you go, that's why. And then they'll go, well, okay, good, good. And now you know why you did something, rather than just pissing in the wind, so to speak. So yeah, it's just great. It's brilliant. Just a pushback from a loving source,
Mm.
a
And
creative.
that is very important. I think we have quite a close group of mates who are all on a similar, we're all in the creative industries. And actually, when you're a bunch of friends, it's very difficult sometimes to make yourselves all better together, because you just want to have fun. But
Yeah.
having a wise old sage who can just come in and help you be better, I think that we're destined for good things, because I think we're, lucky enough to have people who have done things that we couldn't even imagine doing, caring about us and caring about our career path. So that particular mentor may one day want to be revealed, but for now, he will just be called the sage.
Yeah, he doesn't like his name being revealed, does he? So fair play.
We have a lot of behind the scenes in Sunrise where his face is just blurred out.
Wow,
That's it.
love
He
that.
just wants to be blurred out. But anyway, we I don't know how long we've been talking for now. I think we've probably nearly hit an hour. So I think I'd like to try and let's see what I wrote down here. Exercise. I believe that your new film that you're sort of developing at the moment is all based around this idea of gym culture. Obviously as an actor, you've had to prepare for roles and you've had to sort of maintain a good physique. What is it about sort of the gym culture that you find particularly fascinating, and why are you writing a character about it?
Um, no, it's just one of them that just came up. It just came up naturally. I was googling some weird bloody, and I don't want to give too much away now just yet, until I've got myself sorted with the script itself. But I was googling some weird medical affliction, and then I heard my brother-in-law and one of my good friends talking about gym culture in a way. Um, and I just put these, and I just thought, imagine if that led to this, and that was literally the start of the story. But I don't know. I think growing up around it, and I feel like everyone grows up around it, but especially um, in my town, in Warrington, where I am right now, the town I'm from. Um, there's I think in a lot of small towns there's a more of a gym culture, because there is a gym culture in like London, of course there is, but the one here is different. It's not exactly the same. Um, and I think it's a thing about, I don't know, blokes in towns, and I always find it fascinating. There's so many great characters that are just there. Friends of mine as well, like loads of friends of mine, and me included. I've been part of the culture too. I mean, I've never really stuck at it for very long, so it's not really paid off massively, because I just love bloody pizzas as well.
But as an actor, you're also now writing your own work. I mean, do you find that there's other job roles within the film production process that you gravitate towards? Are you hoping to executive produce, or if not, produce your own shows and films one day?
Yeah, I reckon so. I reckon, yeah.
Everyone does it these days, right?
Well, that's. I think I don't know. I think I've always been, um, I've always been interested in it, like filmmaking as well as acting. It's just it's never. I feel like you got to just try and focus on one thing at a time sometimes as well, and try and get like a foothold on acting, which I'm trying to do right now. But writing for sure, I that's again that's just attention span. I've always had ideas, but actually writing them down for hours and hours and hours has always eluded me. But I finally got first draft, a tight 90.
Tight,
Well, it's
nice.
90. It's not exactly tight, but I'm working on that second draft. And
Well,
then yeah, I
I,
think
I
I
look
think
forward to hearing that draft soon. But I think yeah, I really like the fact that you're very cultured. Out of all my friends, you have a huge passion for novels and stories and reading books. Where does that sort of passion for reading books come from?
um I don't know, I guess just my mum and dad. I think I forget what I first read. Might have been The Hobbit. That might have been the first one. There were the first ones. I pretended to read Lord of the Rings after that, but I didn't. I didn't. I thought it
That
was
was your
too
first
impressive.
acting job.
Yeah. Tell you what was a good one. Me reading. I did read Twilight to impress a girl, and and I mean, I probably only had to read the synopsis or the blurb to get the gist. But I found myself, rather than trying to impress the girl, just hooked.
Deeply
and I did,
engrossed.
and I didn't have to read New Moon and Breaking Dawn and Eclipse, but I did read those and I loved them. Uh, and I was absolutely, and that's my still long burning passion to visit Washington State, and the town of Forks, which I will
So
do one
if
day.
you were asked to audition for Twilight, you'd be there.
I mean, they've already done it, and it's perfect cinema. I watched one again the other day. It's 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 absolutely timeless. It really is
I guess the
timeless.
question is, are you team is it Jacob and what's the other guy's name?
Edward,
Oh, Edward.
obviously Edward.
You're
Jacob can just
obviously Edward. Because
and
you
Jacob can go take
very
himself for a
like
bloody. Jacob can go and take himself for a walk. Take himself for a walk down the park. Okay,
and clean up
sniffing
his own
around.
shit.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Forget Jacob, mate. Jacob's gone.
Team
Edward's the
Edward, Team
boy.
Edward.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And Emmett. I always loved Emmett. My
Which
boy.
one's Emma?
Emmett's the strong one. He's Edward's
Oh,
brother.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was quite cool having this kind of like family of vampires that didn't want to eat anyone because they're like vegans or something.
Yeah,
Vegan
kind of
vampires.
vegans.
They're a
Yeah,
bunch of
kind of.
vegans in it.
They got to eat
Uh,
deers.
But that's yeah, you spoke about The Hobbit. Obviously, we are Lord of the Rings fans. I remember a long time ago you were desperate to be part of the Rings of Power, which wasn't known as the Rings of Power back then. It was just the Lord of the Rings TV show when it comes out. I hope to get an audition for it. Are you still hoping to get on that? piece of burning shit.
Well, maybe I've never been offered an audition for that, to be honest. So I mean, I
All
know all
doors
about it.
open. All doors open.
All doors open. Yeah, I would. You know what? It's for me. It's House of the Dragon has taken that mantle because it's such good TV, man. I love that show. They've smashed it. And then, is there a trailer out? I don't know. But my boy Tom Carney um, is the king now. Well, he was always the king, but yeah, he just posted a poster. So I think there's a trailer coming for
Wow.
season
So,
two.
because we're gonna have to get you into fantasy, right? You know, we like
Yeah,
you've done so much World War dramas that we now have to get you either some shows based in reality or in fantasy. So to get you onto the
there's
Game of Thrones, how do you even go about trying to get onto the House of Dragon?
mm, you get an audition with Kate Rose James, and you do your bloody best, is what you do. Yeah, um,
Kate Rose James, who's that?
she's the casting director in London.
Kate Rose James, if you're listening to this, give my boy Corin Silva a chance, a shot. He needs to be in the fantasy realm. Corin, you have read so much fantasy and you know so much about fantasy. And even the Lord of the Rings, you have so much in-depth knowledge. The fandom stuff. I think you'd
Call
make
me a nerd.
I'm calling you slight nerdy, but more
I
importantly, I
am
think
slightly
you'd
nerd.
you'd do justice to any fantasy TV show out there by simply being all in on the genre. So give my boy a break.
Thanks, pal. And I have been horse riding,
It's been
so
horse riding
I've been
and
horse
motorbike
riding.
riding in case they ever need motorbikes in these shows.
Uh, there's
It's
a new
that,
fantasy I'm
that
reading.
these shows they have all this magic and power and stuff, but they're still riding horses. It's like, why hasn't anyone invented like a motorbike or a car or anything with wheels that gets pushed by like sorcery? It's like, nope, still
Good
on a
point.
horse.
That's a good point. Yeah, an enchanted wheel cart.
That was
Yeah,
exactly what they would have called it. But
yeah.
so what are you excited about these
You might
days?
have been burned for witchcraft, though.
What's keeping you what's keeping your excitement up now that you've kind of touched base again? You've just got these four big shows behind you. What are you doing now?
Um, I'm doing a couple of short films at the minute, and then in 2 weeks, I'm going to Los Angeles for the first time. Which
Hollywood is going to Hollywood.
that's right,
What are you
baby.
gonna do in Hollywood?
I'm gonna see the sights. Um, go to Universal Studios.
Wow, are
No,
you
I don't
gonna
know.
have some very
I
important
actually, that was a
meetings?
joke, but I actually might go to Universal Studios because
Oh
that
no, you
sounds like a
have to.
great day.
No, no,
Yeah, it sounds like a
yeah,
great day
you
out,
have
doesn't
to.
it?
Yeah, it's wonderful.
Mm.
Yeah, you have to go and see the back lots and see the house where Psycho was filmed and stuff like that. You have to go see the
Yeah,
history of cinema when you're in LA.
yeah. So I'll do a bit of that, but then got some meetings set up with different people, and I'm staying with my lovely friend Jacob.
Are you not coming
And
back? Are you going to be one of those Hollywood whores that just leaves the UK, leaves us mere mortal
transplants, I think they're called
transplants? Wow.
Lolas.
Lolas, yeah, yeah, London, LA people. Well, look, I'm very much looking forward to hearing that. Obviously, we have Sunrise coming out in August this year. We will need you on the press tour for that. So I hope you
I'll
tell
be
your
back.
agent that very, very important project is
I actually can't. I can't
you
look at the
can't
time.
it
Look
just
at the time.
look at the time. I
Look at
think
the
you'll always
time.
have time for me, and I will always have time for you. And I love that. I love that about working with someone like yourself. I posted on LinkedIn a while ago a picture of us at a film premiere. I think 7 years ago it was or something. And I remember back then just talking about how to make our careers in the TV film world. And I'm proud to say you've made a lot more advancements than I have. I'm still stuck on the same short I've been making for 4 years, but it's fine.
No,
Different journeys.
that's yeah, absolutely different journeys, and that's not true. You've come a very long way, mate. And now you've. It took the amount of time it took to make the film that we made. So Yeah, I mean, I've not seen it yet, but you tell me it's good, so I'll take your word for it.
Yeah, and I'm in debate whether or not to show you, the rough cut of the film because you're a collaborator and you're very knowledgeable, but you only
Set
get a
set designer.
set designer, you only get one chance for a first impression. And but that's up to you, to be honest with you. Like sometimes if someone says to me, "Oh, can you watch my work or can you give me some feedback?" I'm always like, "Is that the best you can do?" And then they're like, "Okay, no, actually I can go make it better." And then you realize that you're seeing something that is, you can give feedback on. But would you like to give feedback on Sunrise? Or do you want to be part of the inner circle? You don't have to be, but you'd
It,
have to watch it at least 25 times.
maybe maybe on the next draft.
Next draft. Okay, well we'll keep you updated there. Obviously, we've got a lot more work going on the project, and I promise I won't leave it to the premiere for you to have seen it. You do get an opportunity. I think it's important as well, like in film and TV land, they have the budgets to have focus groups, to have feedback sessions, to make adjustments to the film before putting it out there. And I don't think short filmmakers have ever thought like that, mainly because of budget and time, and they just want to move on real quick. I don't really care about the time. Like I'm happy for it to take longer, which is why I'm happy to sort of put Sunrise out into private circles and get feedback. Because yeah, if we have to re-edit it, reshoot stuff, it's like at some point you just go, well, that has to be done, like that.
Yeah, man, 100%. Like all well and good, a vision, but the vision has taken you already 99.9% of the way. But to run it by trusted people, just like we're talking about with our mentor, like it's good. It's to bury your head and say this is perfect, even though you showed it to 20 people and they all said the same one thing. You know what I mean? And you'd be like, no, no. It's
No,
like that's
I think
just
you do have to listen to those voices as well. And
well,
so, if
yeah,
anyone
not
wants to
true.
become a voice and
Yeah,
give feedback on Sunrise, get in touch. I'd love to have a big pool of people to just watch the film and give me advice.
yeah, 100%. Because you can also be blinded by your own. It's killing your darlings. Sometimes you got to do it because it is it's like if you want to make the exact film you want to make and it's 9 hours long, then that's fair play. But to get it into cinemas, I'm talking features, obviously. And they want a tight 90, then you're gonna cut out 8 hours. That's just the way it is. But like you gotta do it's you've gotta if you want it to be in front of an audience, then you have to cater to them somewhat. I mean, you make the film you want to make, but listening to the people that you love and trust is not the same as selling out or doing what must like they're making you do. It's just taking in opinions. It's catering to an audience is pretty much the opposite of what I said a minute ago. So I don't mean that.
Well, no, I
Definitely
think
make the film you want to make.
there's like a mythology around directors and writers and people who can just get it right first time, hit it on the head. And yes, maybe there are people who are a lot more intuitive, but people that also have a brand and a style of filmmaking and storytelling that just works. Like a Tarantino film is a Tarantino film. And so you don't want anyone to sort of change that because you're following an auteur. Whereas I think the majority of TV shows, films, they're made by so many different people, so many different cooks, and not necessarily the appeal that people are coming to see a film because of the director or even sometimes the actors. So you do have to sculpture the film, correctly,
Yeah,
keep refining and refining and refining and
that's
iterate.
what it is.
Right.
Yeah, it's refining and refining and refining. It's not I'm doing this. It's not that you're cutting out swathes because that's what these people want. It's like focus groups and like refining. It's completely different. So I think I think it's and we've always spoken about this because we've had friends that are like indie directors that no one can see a single frame until the day of the premiere, and it's like why? Just literally, if you just ask them why can't we see a frame? People that have worked on it for free for months, why can't we see a single frame? Say, no, man, no. And it's like, why? And There's no good answer for that, to be honest.
It's
There's
fear,
no good
isn't
answer.
it? It's fear of criticism and knowing that maybe you can't do anything about it, if you can't afford,
Yeah, well, yeah, that's another problem.
Anyway, the when you talk about that, actually, I did think a bit about indie film directors, because one of the things that I really don't like with low budget filmmaking is when people try to make something of military origin. That I've got a pet peeve whenever I see actors wearing the wrong military dress, acting in the wrong way. It boils my blood, because not only can you Google this stuff these days, but there's a real life, the military are real life organizations who have real life traditions. It gets serious, when you realize that people die under certain times in the military past, and then filmmakers can't even be bothered to go and find out what dress those soldiers were wearing in the day, or what those cap badges meant, or how to shape a beret. These are things that, I have an army cadet background, so I just only have a small bit of knowledge around the military, but I can imagine pisses military people off when they turn the telly on and they see these absolute disgrace of actors, dressing like they are doing fancy dress. You've been in several TV shows now that you've had period costumes, but you've also been in several indie shorts that have had those military dresses. What's your opinion, Corin Silva?
Uh, I know exactly what you mean, and I understand where you have a gripe. I wasn't. I'm not. I'm. To be fair, as an actor, I try and do my research myself about the role, but and the role and the world in which I'm inhabiting. But there's only so far my knowledge goes, and for example, on Rogue Heroes, we have the most amazing military advisor, Ben Simmons, and he's brilliant. Everyone loves him. He knows bloody everything. He goes home every night and studies more about it. He knows battles through history and different. He's a wealth of knowledge, and we come to him for everything. For every
So
day we ask him questions.
is his job, is the job of the military advisor on set to make sure you're looking like a soldier, acting like a soldier? Does he come in and almost direct you slightly?
I think unofficially, yeah. It's officially slash unofficially. Sometimes he's I had a bit of back and two with the costume department because they might move a badge, and he might move a badge, and someone else might move a badge, and then the actor might move the badge. Just let them all fight, and then we're like, actually, it looks really cool like this. but no, like he is. I mean, the costume department on Rogue's incredible too. But he definitely is got us standing right, standing up straight, telling us the history of because the script is the script and the brilliant scripts, but the history isn't exactly there. We had this amazing 2 weeks before we ever started season one, which was with Bags, and he ran us through loads of the history of Rogues and the SAS, and then constantly you just talk to him all the time, and then we do our own research because we're so excited. And then all the lads are talking stories, at lunch, and like, did you know about this? And did you know about that? And the group message. And so we just this wealth of knowledge just keeps coming up, which has been brilliant. But Bags, yeah, he can help. He helps us stand up straight. He gets us saluting correctly. He tells us what this scene is in the wider world. If we have any question about a gun or anything like that, a vehicle, then he'll usually have an answer for us,
So
or he'll go find out.
talking of guns, obviously you've played a lot of soldiers on TV shows, and so you've shot a lot of guns. Obviously recently we know that with the Alec Baldwin sort of situation where someone died on a film set. I mean, are film sets dangerous when they've got guns on them, and how have you found the safety on that aspect?
Yeah, I mean, look, guns are dangerous. And film sets with guns are dangerous. Absolutely. and then to have, because we've shot blanks, and if there's even the slightest obstruction in the barrel of the, like in the chamber or in the barrel, it's absolutely deadly. You know what I mean? And so being completely vigilant at all times about what's in there and knowing exactly what you are holding when you were given it by the armorer is paramount. Is like it's you don't take any chances with that
But
at
were
all.
you given
It's so
enough
dangerous.
training before going out there onto
Yeah,
location on
yeah,
set?
yeah,
So,
yeah.
so
For a
that's like
while,
actual firing ranges and safety things.
yeah, yeah. We went down to a firing range in Whitehall. I think it was in Whitehall. Yeah, right in the city centre, underground. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, yeah. Right in the city centre, or Westminster, even. Like right in the city centre of London. We went to a firing range in the basement of a military place, a military. I don't know what the term is. It's not a base or a barracks. It's I don't know what it was, but yeah, went there, and then we went out onto open air and did all the training with understanding, the bolt action and the guns that we'd actually be using. Shot blanks on set, but every time you just got to take the utmost care that everything is clear and you know exactly what you're dealing with. And like as soon as you can, whenever you can, you don't use a blank. You don't use any sort of ammunition. You just use an empty gun. You know what I mean? And then chucking a little recoil, maybe throwing a little pew, pew, pew.
A bit of sound effects, a
Yeah,
bit of
that's
a
just for
muzzle
me.
flash. There you
That's
go.
just to keep me in there.
Well, look,
But
so yes, you've played a member of the SAS on SAS Rogue Heroes, amazing BBC show. But you've also met several members of the SAS, to do research and stuff. How does it feel meeting real members of the Special Forces?
it was scary, man. I remember, yeah, when he came up to him and he'd seen the show, hadn't he? And I go, oh yeah, and I was like sweating already, like Jesus. And he's such a geezer, that man, such a gentleman, but so you can see the strength. And he was 90 or 91 or
This is
something.
this is Colonel John Russell,
Yeah,
who is the former commander of the SAS, who lives in Alderney, and he
yeah,
actually was in charge of Gentleman Jim, who was one of the founding members of the SAS, the person that you play in the TV show. Gentleman Jim's son was Colonel John Russell's one of his troops. So when he met you and you sat down with him and you showed him the show and you showed him all the behind the scenes pictures. I remember being stood there, where, there was sort of a few of us around a table. He didn't have it. He just stood up. He was just stood up and everyone else was kind of sat down on seats. And I was like, oh, do you want this seat? And he looked at me and he was like, if you ask me that again, I'm going to punch you in the face. And this is like some like 90-year-old guy who's like hard as nails, like having like, been in the SS whole life. And now watching, and I actually felt, I mean, I know he was proud and he was very proud to talk to you, but I felt in a weird way, I'm a bit like, oh God, these bloody actors. And it's like this actor's showing him like, here's me playing like I'm a member of the SAS, stood
I
with the most
know.
hardcore like SAS guy next to us. And actually he loved it. He loved it. He loved
Yeah.
seeing it.
Well, yeah. I mean, do you know what? We've had a few, uh, sometimes via bags, the military advisor, but we've had a lot of amazing feedback from the SAS saying that they love it, saying that
Right.
did a great job, and it's amazing to see the history of the unit shown on screen.
Absolutely, for sure. And it's nice the fact that, they prioritized the obviously it is there's somewhat fiction to it and the storyline and or maybe even just like the dialogue and characters and stuff like this there's a lot of stuff that you bring to it. But then having a military advisor there just to make sure the basis of what you're trying to make is accurate, makes the whole show just amazing. It's a great show, man. You must be very proud.
Yeah, I am. We all are. Yeah, it's love
And
it.
actually,
Love
I
every
I got to
everything
go.
about it.
I got to go to the premiere of SAS Rogue Heroes. You very kindly brought me across the, the red carpet. First time I've ever been to a big TV premiere like that.
Me
And to
too.
be honest with you, I absolutely loved it, man. That was, I think it was you and me both, right? First
Yeah.
big premiere.
Plenty more where they came from, pal.
Absolutely, man. Well, please feel free to invite me to any of your premieres in the future because Corin Silva is going to be on many more TV shows, many more films. Corin, I can't wait to see what you do next. I think it's going to be amazing. How can people follow your work? How can they find out more about your life?
Oof. I can only just about keep Instagram going, so
There
just
you go.
Instagram.
There you go, folks. Go ahead and check out Corin Silva on Instagram. You will be back in the future very soon. I'm sure you are a regular on the Cam Talk show. And thank you very much for your time, my friend.
Thank you, pal. It was always fun, as ever.
Love you, man.
Love you too.